I've launched over 350 funnels, currently manage over 7 figures in ad spend per month profitably, and we work with some of the biggest household names in the coaching space, info product, B2B, SaaS world, even some real estate funds and syndications. And to actually be able to do that properly and get results for clients, we got to make great looking landing pages and landing pages that convert at a higher rate. So in today's video, we're going to be going over our landing page best practices that we use internally as an agency. And also at the end of the video, I'm of course going to show you guys some of the landing pages that we make, the methodologies behind how we design them, what we put on there, the copy, everything like that. So without further ado, let's dive in. So the first thing with a landing page is you want it to be custom branded, okay? Now, a lot of people, when they make landing pages, they're just gonna go on to ClickFunnels or GHL, grab a template, fill out the template, and that's it. So they're gonna use basic fonts. They're not really putting any effort into the design at all. They're just using the template. And look, templates can be fine. You can really actually make some great stuff using templates, but you can't just only rely on the template itself. What we do is per client, we make custom landing pages that match their brand feel, their design, their logo, and really just build up trust with the prospect. When you land on a page that's just white with some big blocky text and everything and like 2 colors and the logo at the top, it just looks scammy, right? You want to stand out. You don't want to be overly designed so it distracts everybody. Like you don't want some butterfly following the mouse around on the screen, but what you want to do is make sure it looks very nice and custom branded. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you a few examples of ours and you'll be able to see what that actually looks like, but nice, clean backgrounds, custom colors that match the brand's feel and the logo, and easy to read fonts. Don't make everything all uppercase and all caps, right? You want to use just normal casing. So sometimes what we like to do is just make the first letter in each word in the headline capitalized, the rest lowercase, and then the body copy, of course, we're doing it just natural casing, other headlines, natural casing, stuff like that. But you don't just want to be one of those people that is screaming at everybody with all uppercase, everything on the entire page, all the headlines. It just looks terrible and it's hard to read, right? Custom branding just means it looks custom, it looks clean, doesn't look like every other landing page out there. And overall, it's just really easy to read and look at. And that feeds into point number 2, which it's clean and easy to read. Now, I always talk about something called the 10-second rule, okay? And it's technically more like 5 seconds, but basically if I land on a landing page and I can just easily scroll through it, and these are landing pages with a lot of copies, so sometimes, by the way, it will run landing pages where it's literally just like this, headline, subheadline, VSL, application, some case studies, maybe some FAQs, something very basic, but if you're following another structure that we like to use, which is headline, subheadline, VSL, explanation of the problem, solution, your process, of course, like the application right here, case studies, and FAQs. If you're following that structure, these sections here, like the problem, your solution, the outcome, your case studies, stuff like that, those should be easy to read and easy to identify as you scroll. And what do I mean by that is, again, going back to the 10-second rule. Whenever you scroll through a page, if your page is done, you pop it up on your screen and you can scroll through it in 5 to 10 seconds and immediately grasp what the value benefit is. You clearly hit on some pain points the prospect has. You clearly articulated your solutions in your process, and you clearly articulated your expertise. You've won, you have a great page. People just skim pages. They don't sit there and they don't scroll very slowly and read every single piece of copy and look at every image and everything like that. They don't do that. They land on the page, they scroll really quick, and they decide in 5 to 10 seconds max, more like 5 seconds, if this is actually for them or not. If it's not for them, they bounce. So you need to design it in that way with that in mind. And how do you do that? If you have big blocks of text in different sections, right? Let's say this is our page here. You have big blocks of text. This does not look good if you just have a big old block, a bunch of text here. What we like to do is essentially break it up into maybe a big bold headline here, 1 to 2 lines here, an image over here, right? Big bold headline here, small text here. Maybe we even highlight part of this text here. Maybe we bold a little word or two in here. Make this italics in the headline here, make a word bold over here, right? You just need to emphasize key points in different headlines and pieces of body copy, and also use images to your advantage too, because the mind can interpret images way faster than just reading a headline and stuff like that. You need to use all of those different things in your arsenal on the page in different copy sections. You shouldn't have something that looks like a big block of text like this. It should be headlines, small quick blurbs of body copy, bullet points, italics, bold, images, underline, stuff like that. And I love using the highlight feature too in body copy, like highlighting a piece of the body copy that looks so good and grabs attention so fast. You want to use these different elements to pass the scroll test, right? You should be scrolling down and immediately you see something bold, your eyes go in there. If it's highlighted, your eyes go in there. If even bullet points, your eyes going right there. If there's an image, your eyes going there, right? You're not going to sit there and read the headline, then read the body copy, these 5 lines of body copy, all this stuff. You need to use these elements, but don't make it look crowded. Like, don't just slap a bunch of italics everywhere, slap a bunch of bold, bunch of highlights, a ton of images. Don't make it look crowded. Just use it where it's needed. And also, cut copy where you don't need it. Every single word should earn its place on your page. So if you can say something in 5 words that otherwise was 15 words, do it. You want to have as minimal amount of words as possible on this page. That means being very concise about your copy and what you put on the page. That's how we make them look clean. Next, number 3 is having it be fast as fuck on mobile. Most traffic, as you know, nowadays are mobile. So we need to make sure that we're optimizing the page on mobile. If you use some builder like HubSpot, for example, unfortunately right now they don't even let you edit mobile independently unless you use some custom code. It's a big mess, so that's why we use stuff like ClickFunnels. 2.0 has been fantastic. Of course you can use 1.0, but you can also use GHL and stuff like that too. But these all have mobile editors, you know, Webflow, all that stuff. They have mobile editors that you can basically edit the mobile version of the page independently from the desktop. You could also just have mobile only elements, desktop only elements, stuff like that. So that's what you want to have. You want to make sure mobile is dialed in super fast. There's no weird elements and weird padding on mobile. It should, again, be very easy and clean to read on desktop and mobile, and it should pass the scroll test on desktop and mobile. Number 4 is to have a clear call to action, okay? We want to be able to basically just tell, this is very simple, tell the prospect on the page what to do next very clearly, okay? The button shouldn't be just like apply. It should be click to apply, like very just simple stuff like that. And also making the buttons big. I've been on some pages where for some reason the button is so small. Like, why did you even do that? That's why sometimes too, we embed the actual application on the page, right? So if we have our page here, we have the headline, subheadline, VSL, then we'll have the application just fat right here, right? We'll have the app right here. And then sometimes we'll do pop-up. But just have the next step very easy, clear, and visible to the prospect. You shouldn't have them have to go through some crazy maze on the page to find the CTA. Just tell them what to do next very clearly. We like to have the CTA below the VSL if we're doing a VSL. Sometimes we'll put it above it. Depends on how really long the headline is and stuff like that. But again, we try to have short headlines that are very impactful, punchy, and concise anyways. But just have a clear CTA. Don't confuse people on the page. Just make it very direct on what they need to do next and what is going to happen when they click that button. And finally, number 5 is to basically have a clean application step or form fill on your landing page, okay? So a lot of you guys are using the Typeform and Calendly integration. Now here's the thing. If you have your page like this, for example, and you have the headline, subheadline, VSL, right? There's 2 options. You can embed it right here, or you can have a button here that has a pop-up. So let's say for the embed here, if you put the embed here, you have to understand that on different devices, especially mobile, you're gonna have to kind of like do that weird scroll stuff, right? You're gonna essentially like have the application here, and if you don't do full screen on mobile, which I love to do, this is what I'm telling you to do, if you're using Typeform or whatever application software, have it be pop up to full screen mobile, because it looks way cleaner and it's going to basically encompass the entire page, or it's basically going to encompass the entire view of the phone. So the entire screen will be the application. That way you don't have to scroll down to see different answers and different selections to questions that you have, right? Like for example, if you don't do that and you just embed it here and you don't maybe expand the padding or do the mobile pop-up, the full screen mobile pop-up, you might have the question here, answer 1 here, answer 2, and then answer 3, like you're gonna have to scroll down and everything. And it just, we see a huge drop off whenever that occurs. You wanna make the UI of the actual application very clean. So if you're doing a button on this page to pop up the application in the calendar, you want to make sure it pops up full screen too, and you can add some code into the button on your page there to make it basically pop up, or you can just toggle that thing on Typeform that again says pop up full screen on mobile. And if you embed that Typeform into the pop-up like on ClickFunnels 2.0, you just take the embed code, put it into that pop-up screen. You can then basically have that full screen on mobile, so somebody hits the start button on there and it pops up, and I'm going to show you an example of this in a second, but it basically will pop up full screen on mobile. And finally, number 6 is to have contextual messaging on your landing page. So if your ad says one thing right? If your ad is talking about one pain point, then your landing page should also be talking about that pain point. If your ad's talking about a desire, your landing page should talk about that desire as well. There shouldn't be a lot of incongruency. On the funnels that we scale horizontally with, we basically have these big messaging buckets and pockets of ad ideas that we hit on that we know scale, and we make contextual landing pages with copy and even like VSL sometimes that match the actual messaging inside of these ads, so there's full congruency. And then from there even, we'll have the email flows and what the actual sales team says and the setting process and all that be congruent with that ad messaging as well. So the full process from click to close is full congruent. All the messaging is fully congruent. So that's something a lot of people miss, and that's what we really like to focus on over at our agency. But let's dive into a few landing page examples real quick on the screen share so you can see exactly what we build and why they convert so well. So hopping into some client ad accounts right here. This one is absolutely smashing right now. So this is a webinar funnel for one of our clients. They're getting $6.31 per opt-in on one campaign, then $2 on another. But anyways, let me just go in here and show you guys the actual page that we're driving traffic to. So we go into here. All right, so if we look right here, it's a very clean, custom and branded page. This does not look like some just generic ClickFunnels page with a big old white background and everything. It's custom everything, all right? We even have like a glow in the back here, looking very clean. We have some italics because we want to emphasize this point here that he literally taught his grandma how to actually scale on TikTok Shop, which is pretty crazy. But we use video thumbnails too with custom branding and everything. We removed the Wistia logo. We are using vid analytics too on some accounts, by the way, which has been doing pretty well. But everything is nice and clean, right? We scroll down. Here's what you learned. It's very nice, easy laid out. Meet your instructor, very quick, right? We go down here. Easy case studies. Then this section also gets consumed a lot when we heat map it. Very simple. Why should you attend? When is it? What is the masterclass? And then also FAQs. Very easy. Quick drop downs, very fast, right? This is a very clean and responsive page. If we go over here into mobile, everything above the fold is right here and looking clean, right? So the actual CTAs above the fold, the subheadlines above the fold, the headlines above the fold, the banners above the fold, everything. We click there, everything looks nice, clean. It reiterates the date and the time, and there's no cutoff, right? You click here, the pop-up comes up, everything's nice and still branded, clean, and all within view on mobile. So it's nice and mobile optimized. Now let's check out another one of our pages here. So this is for another one of our clients, right? We have a nice call out, a nice little fun fruity line right there. But even stuff here, like we bolded this because this is a nice value benefit. Literally just got to talk in front of a camera and you're good. Right? Our headline is actually very contextual too. We see that a lot of his prospects want, of course, qualified sales calls, but they want to use content to increase show rates, help the ads convert better, and grow their authority. So there's some different value benefits and points that we want to weave into the headline. We're speaking to their real-time pain points and desires here. Again, video thumbnail here, flashing a ton of different, big league players that they've worked with. Then here's like the problem section. So we branded it red, right? Easy scroll. Catchy headline. Here's the solutions, our process. We even have a nice image, right? Just bam, right there. You can look at it and be like, okay, cool. I understand what's going on here. Case studies, nice graphic, FAQs, same thing, right? And then a little banner CTA at the bottom. I like that there. We had some fruit too at the bottom there. I'll stop procrastinating. But right there, and then we go over to mobile. Same thing, right? Nice and clean, easy to scroll through. Then finally, another one. So this goes really well with all of their branding. They're kind of like a little bubbly sort of, company. They use, you can even see your background back there. It's a lot of bright colors. So that's why we wove in a lot of these kind of yellows and everything and this cool kind of background. But added this glow effect up here. This is where we're using underline sections to really emphasize different key points we want them to see. Same with the problem section, solution section, what they get, testimonials, FAQs, right? Very clean page. Then we go over to here in mobile too. Same thing, looking nice and clean. And by the way, this does load differently a little bit on mobile devices. This is like a preview extension that I use, this mobile simulator thing. So sometimes it kind of looks a little bit worse on the mobile simulator, but pop these up on your pages and you'll be able to see. But again, we click here. This is what I'm talking about with the Typeform pop-up, right? So if you go here, it won't actually do it here on the simulator here, but if you go on your actual phone, you'd click start, and then actually it did do it here. There you go. Pops up full screen, right? Super clean. There's no scrolling. It's very nice and clean. It's full screen. But anyways, those are some principles that we follow internally whenever we go and launch funnels. Now, usually when we take on a client, we're gonna launch with the same sort of structure. If it's a call funnel or a webinar funnel, it depends, right? Our webinar landers look very similar. Our VSL call funnel landers, as you can see here, all have like the same principles on them, the same sort of structure and layout. We like to launch with that control first, then we'll do split tests and make optimization. So we'll remove maybe that problem and solution section, just leave the case studies and FAQs. Maybe we'll shorten the headline, we'll remove the subheadline sometimes, we'll remove that call out, but we launch every time with the proven structure that we know that works, which is what I showed you here. So headline, call out, subheadline, VSL, usually a pop-up. Sometimes we'll embed the application as a split test as well if that's a bottleneck we need to solve for, right? The conversion rate on the page. Problem section, solution section, our process and outcome, case studies and FAQs. That's usually what we launch with because we know that works. So that's the control we launch with. Then we do split tests from there. So make sure your landing pages have all of this here. If you want us to handle all of your ads for you and help you scale, there's a link down in the description below. You can fill out a quick form, tell me more about your company. You can also see our landing page down there too, which is very nice, clean, and custom branded, of course. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at Seech on Instagram or Twitter, or drop it in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next video.